Okie dokie. So, this is a first for me, but I am too excited about these events to not do something about it. You know what I mean? I'd prefer not to be wearing headphones, but I have to, or else my mic is going to pick up my speakers, and I don't really know how to get around that right now. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a general watch through of the trailer. I've already seen it. I'm going to do a slower watch through, pause, make comments about what I see, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what is supposedly going to happen in this movie. And we'll see how it works. Like I said, I just felt compelled to do this for once because I think this movie is going to help revive the Transformers franchise a little bit. So, like I said, I'm going to go through the trailer. I'm going to pause and stuff at different moments to explain some things, and then at the end we'll talk about cast, who is in it, a little bit of references or a little bit of understanding from past material and what it's basing things off of, and general conversation. But first we're just going to talk about the face value trailer stuff. So let's go ahead and get into that. So obviously right off the bat, we've got Optimus Primal here, who's looking great. Then we have Optimus Prime. Still has his Nightverse head design, which we'll get into that a little bit more later in the trailer. And down. Okay, so the thing that I like about Optimus Primal's design here, so the way that they made it seem, at least in Beast Wars and Beast Machines. So for those of you who don't know, Beast Wars was a 3D CGI animated show created in 1996 for Transformers. It consisted of Transformers that landed on Earth millions of years before the Transformers we know landed on Earth, and because vehicles weren't around for them to take the form of, they took the form of animals. And the way that it was conveyed in that show was it almost looked like they created skin on themselves, for lack of a better term. Like, they still look like robots and everything, but like when they were put together, they were mostly smooth. And so I was wondering what they were going to do in terms of design on this, whether they were going to keep it robotic in their beast modes like they did with Grimlock and the Dinobots in Age of Extinction or not. And thankfully, that's what they did, because I think that this looks really good. They do still have some skin-looking parts as well as fur, which I'm fine with. I just didn't want to have him turn into basically King Kong and be like, yeah, that's how this works. But we can see all like the pistons and stuff on him. He's got green eyes. He's got a great looking gorilla face. He almost looks like Lockdown a little bit, but I think it's, and I really like how they did this. It's mostly smooth, but there's the cracks in it so that it can emote, which is very similar to someone like Drift in Age of Extinction. So we all know that the Transformers for a long time in the Bayverse films had very mechanical looking faces. Ratchet had the big old fang things. Bumblebee had the big old like mouthpiece. It was his entire mouth. Optimus Prime had his old plates on his face as opposed to just the mask, and so on and so forth. But in Age of Extinction, they started to change it up a little bit, and they gave more humanoid faces, which was just little minute platings. In the Travis Knight Bumblebee movie, like, Bumblebee had his look from the original, the Bayverse films, but it was smoothed out, so it was less parts that were unnecessary. And it looks like they're going with a mix of both here, to where it's mostly smooth, but they still have cracks so that they can be emotive, which is very important. You need to have the Transformers emote. It was easy in G1 because they were drawings and they didn't have plates. It was just a smooth face with eyes and a mouth. That's my initial thought on his design. Potentially some Cybertronian here, or maybe that's just dirt.
I'm not the one to fear, Prime.
So, and then here we have a good size comparison, which again, we'll get into that a little bit later. We can see a little bit more fur. He's got big old gorilla hands. We got our two human characters, which I'm not really going to talk about them because these are Transformers movies. People watch them for the big fighting robots. We're just not going to talk about the humans. I don't know anything about them. I don't know the actors or anything. So we're just... Ron Perlman, of course, is voicing Optimus Primal. So that's who we hear there. We get a better look at Optimus Prime's new design. Some of the material that has been released already, or not officially released, but has been leaked already for this, has already shown some of it. His initial design, when I saw it, I was a little concerned because it looked similar to the Bumblebee version of him, but not exactly the same. But getting this look at him, it looks like it's pretty much the exact same model. Maybe they changed a couple things like here and there. Like his arms look a little different. Him having this gun is an interesting change. So we got a good size comparison and everything here.
There is a darkness coming.
We can see that, in fact, they are kind of backtracking a little bit. Optimus Prime is not wearing his faceplate, unfortunately. Now, because later in the trailer, it shows him like this, putting the mask on, and I thought that maybe he was just transforming, but in this situation, it looks like he does take it off, which is unfortunate, because his mouth being exposed in this form is honestly worse, in my opinion, than the Nightverse form. Like, it's very jarring, and I think it's because the side pieces go so far back, like they should, in terms of like the blue, because I think in the Bayverse ones, they go to about right here, so he's got a little bit more coverage. I mean, if you like lift it up, if you cover the mouth, he looks good, and then it's like, oh god. So I'm not happy about that now that I notice that. It's a little unfortunate. Got Bumblebee and his 1976 Camaro form, all clean. Oh fuck! I wanted to get a good look at him. So we can see that he has the Bumblebee style arms where they're nice and smooth. He doesn't have the big things popping off of them. I feel like I should have brought some of my figures in here to like compare them. And then as we can see, he's got that smoother face and everything. He's still got his wings, still got the chest piece. It's obviously a little bit different from the original, which I can't tell if I like this more or not. We'll have to figure out as time goes on. Here we have, for any G1 fans like myself, you would think that this is Jazz, and you would be forgiven for that mistake, because I'm not the biggest fan of the fact that this is the alt mode they chose for Mirage. I will make a comment that they are clearly referencing back to when Sam Witwicky got in Bumblebee, with a person getting in, looking at the Autobot symbol on the front and everything like that. This whole scene has like a lot of different references. We got Bumblebee and Sam. This is similar to that of Bumblebee in his movie running from the cops with Carly and Momo in the car, because they're sitting there not driving the car, being told to pull over. And also just the idea of an Autobot taking someone hostage is very similar to Hot Rod in The Last Night taking Vivian Wembley hostage. And we get a cool little scene here where Mirage is driving backwards and then transforms to turn himself around. That's kind of badass. Won't even lie. And then here's the confirmation that it is Mirage, because Mirage is well known for either creating a hologram that can disguise himself or creating a hologram that can project other things. So here he is projecting himself to escape the cops. So we got Bumblebee's new alt mode, more off-road looking, and I really enjoy this alt mode. I don't think they've released what he looks like in robot form with this yet, but I'm very excited to see. I feel like one of my favorite designs for Bumblebee is from Dark Side of the Moon, or Dark of the Moon, where he's got like the nice little piece that like comes up from his abdomen over his chest. I don't know why, I just like that look to it. And as well as I really liked his look in Age of Extinction, the High Octane off alt mode, where he's a black 1967 Camaro, because those are just like bulkier designs. And so I'm very interested to see how he changes with the extra fenders, the spoiler, and the bumpers and all that stuff on there. But here we get a look at Cheetor. Obviously, we see he's pretty big compared to Bumblebee. And they're running along. He's looking pretty cool. And again, we got it looks like we have some fur right here sticking up, but for the most part, it looks like it's just patterned metal. And here we have Air Razor coming in. Oh, she's breathing fire. Oh, it looks like we can see potentially Optimus Prime up here, weirdly enough. Maybe. Yeah, because he's got some red on the shoulders and blue on the legs, and for some reason Air Razor is blowing out the bridge in front of him. We've all been seeing action blockbusters for the past 10 years. A lot of them in which there's two factions of good guys. The two good guys fight each other for a while, and then they're like, oh, we have a common enemy? Well, let's take care of that then. So I'm assuming that's just what's going on here. But yeah, it looks like she's burning out the bridge to prevent him from going wherever he's going for whatever reason. Either he's in pursuit or trying to escape. And then, who did we just see fall down the hill right here? Is that Optimus Prime again? Possibly in the same shot? Actually, I could just go ahead. it's so hard to tell. It looks like there's... I think that might be a Terracon, because I see some red on the legs, or red-ish color on the legs. But again, this does look similar to the background. But he has his gun out also. I mean, he could fall down the hill with his gun out, whomever it may be. Oh, they're also shooting. So I definitely think that's probably a Terracon. I can't remember the different names. I think that's Battle Trap. I think that's Battle Trap because it's an orangey color, and out of the 3 Terracons we know, which is Battle Trap, Scourge, and Nightbird, he's the only one with that kind of color situation. And then he shoots and misses. And there's another one right there. Are these potentially... because that looks like it could be Scourge. He's a lot darker in color, and he's still pretty big. And Nightbird's about the same. Nightbird's alt mode is about the same size as this one, so this could potentially be the Terracons coming down to attack Mirage and whoever that is. It could be just some humans, but let's go ahead and turn this playback to normal. Then there's Scourge, or not Scourge, but Battle Trap again, shooting a missile in alt mode. We have RC alongside Wheeljack, and I was curious when I watched this the first time because I wasn't really paying attention, but it does look like RC is in fact going to be fairly small. We see that compared to Wheeljack, that like even though her legs are bent, it looks like she can essentially fit into Wheeljack, which is something that has happened before. Bumblebee has gone into Wheeljack in the past. And technically, RC is about the same size, if not a little bit bigger than Bumblebee in the G1 series. So this is not out of the norm. Wheeljack has transported fellow Autobots within his alt mode multiple times. We get a good look at her. She's got a nice red. She's got like the classic... she's got a pretty consistently classic design for her like color palette, because RC usually has that kind of like white V. Gonna get a cool angle. See, and this is what I was talking about earlier with the new faces. You just have all these lines so that she is able to express herself. Lines for plating so she can still move her face, but it's a mostly smooth and consistent look to it, which I really enjoy because it just looks better. And a lot of people, I was fine with the way the faces looked before, but a lot of people complained saying that it looked a little weird. If all the faces are going to look similar to this one, I think we're going to be fine. I think a lot of people are going to be happier that it's easier to read the emotions of the Transformers. So we can see too that she has a visor down, which that's not the first time I've seen her have a visor down. I don't know if that'll be permanently down or not. I'm also curious because her eyes look pink, but that could be just because the visor is pink and it's changing the hue of the blue. They actually kind of look more purple, but it's like, I don't know if the visor is just changing the color. Not that that matters. I'm just saying. She's got the Autobot logo on her head, got a little bit of lighter right there. But no, RC looks really good. And the missile's going through Wheeljack. There she is again. And it looks like she will have a version of herself, have her wheels be out whilst in robot form. Because she, as we can see, she's holding on to Wheeljack and has her feet in wheel positions. And it kind of looks like right there, that's her actual foot. If you don't have the figure of her from the Bumblebee movie, you may not know this because she doesn't ever transform in the Bumblebee movie. But this is pretty accurate to her look, in which when she transforms, her wheels go on the back of her heel. So I would not be surprised if they are having that continue along in this one. She's looking real good. She's got her gun out and everything.
Of all the threats,
so here, I'm assuming this is Scourge. For those of you who don't know, we have already seen what Battle Trap will look like in his robot mode, because a figure, possibly the Studio Series figure, has been released for Battle Trap, and that includes his robot mode. And so if you look at them, you'll be able to tell the difference. As well as if you look at the lineup of the Terracon vehicles, the biggest one is Scourge. So in this situation, it clearly looks like, based off of this, in which Optimus seems to be in a somewhat helpless position, and Battle Trap was above him, looking like he was about to strike.
threats,
And then Bumblebee comes in to save him before catching him. and potentially stabbing him. Yeah. Looks like he stabbed straight through his abdomen. Oh, and he's still stabbed through. Goddamn. We see that Bumblebee does actually have some changes. We see that he's got stripes on the side of his arms now, and his doors are not full doors. They're now partially created. We do see that blade still through him, and it looks like it is connected to Scourge's side. Scourge obviously has a more menacing face, but it's still easy to read. You got your... because this part is all plated up, and he's still got his mouth right here. Decepticons don't really need to emote, if we're going to be honest, because they're just angry all the time. So, this is okay. This is I didn't know that this was on Earth, because it kind of looked like a flashback. Then it looks like Bumblebee gets shot by Scourge. I don't know who this is. Probably Battletrap. And then we cut to this scene. We've got Optimus, RC, Mirage, and Wheeljack, supposedly. Then we got our human characters. I don't recognize this country at all, and I don't know where they've been. And it's, even if we did, it wouldn't matter. Here's a picture of them behind the scenes there, because I know that I've seen pictures of them probably in this location. We can't see that good a look at Wheeljack. He's clearly more in the distance, but he's still bigger than RC, so obviously if he's closer. So again, we can see that she is very small, like she should be. Oh, and it looks like her wheels go out actually all the way up to her back. So I guess when she just has them roll down her back onto her feet when she wants to use them in robot mode. We'll see Mirage again from the front, and I'll talk about him more from the front. His dimensions look a little off to me in this shot. Maybe it's just... Here we have Rhinox. Looks like he's got a tongue and some sort of repulsor looking thing. As we know from Age of Extinction, the Dinobots had a similar thing in their mouths that helped them breathe fire, so maybe Rhinox can breathe fire. And again, big old plating around the face. Doesn't look like an actual rhinoceros. It looks like a rhinoceros made of metal, as it should. And then we have a nice G1 reference with this Optimus transformation. And then see, we have his face off. And the reason I say it's a G1 reference is because you can see his arms come out of the side in this. Like, see, because there's the front of the truck and here's the bed of the truck, and he's clearly coming out the side because that's how he transformed in the G1. Here's an animation. But yeah, I enjoyed that little detail. It looks real good. We got some protoforms landing. This could potentially be when the Terracons first land, or maybe it's some backup showing up. Who knows?
You've never faced anything like this.
And then see, this is the shot I was talking about earlier where he has his face and he puts up the mouth guard. He's got some pretty good emotive eyes here, actually. And see, I don't know why... I just don't know why they did it. He has the same face as the Bayverse version. And then here's Battletrap again. And so this kind of confirms that that was Scourge, because you can see how orange he is. Oh shit. Because there's a bunch of background. We got someone flying here. I don't... let's see. So we got Battletrap. It looks like we have someone there. So, Battletrap, we have a Seeker, possibly of some sort. We can see wings on them, and they're obviously flying. They seem to have a pinkish and purple look to it. Maybe it's Skywarp? It could be. Or it could just be Starscream. We also see someone back here getting shot down and falling. It looks like if the Predacons are going to be in this, this could potentially be Transmutate, I guess is his name. And I'm just saying that based off of his legs. But oh, there's another one running back there. These could potentially just be generic. Those could just be generic Terracons or Proforms back there. Then we see Cheetor running along Optimus Prime, who seems to have his energy axe going on right there. Cheetor's transforming. We'll play this in normal motion again. I'm just trying to like look through it. Not here. We'll play it once in normal speed, and then we'll go back through it. Transforms. Optimus Primal also transforming. And a bunch of people clashing. And so, like I said, let's go back through it real quick. Like I said, we got Cheetor transforming here. Looks and sounds great. Does it flawlessly. Did he have wheels? It's triple changer question mark? But yeah, we have Optimus Primal here. We'll see if we can... I think Wheeljack was directly behind him, because you can see what seems to be like a slightly sandy colored character poking up right there and right there. And we can definitely see RC right there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Wheeljack sticking out. But yeah, good Transformer. Let's see, there's Wheeljack again, I'm pretty sure. There's what looks like Bumblebee. Looks like his shoulder. What? Or that could actually be Cheetor, I guess. And that's the thing, we don't know what the fuck these guys are going to look like in robot mode, because... Oh, that is Cheetor, because that's a cheetah's head right there. Okay, so that's Cheetor. Optimus is right here, obviously. Don't know who that potentially is, unless that's just like motion blur from Optimus's foot. Oh no, that was a different person. But Optimus Primal looks badass. This, like, hopefully they actually keep him just like that, because this is a great look for him. Looks very similar to the Knights in The Last Knight, but, you know, in a better movie, probably. But he's got his little blades that's got chains to him. I can't remember if the chains were attached in the original series or if it was just the blades. This is... So we have RC here. Optimus right there. Is this Nightbird, potentially? Or is it Black Arachnia? Because there's versions of Black Arachnia that... Because Black Arachnia originated in Beast Wars, but she came back in, I believe, Transformers Animated and Transformers Prime and turned into a helicopter, but had a spider-like robot form. So that's why I'm curious. And she also had a purple color scheme. She's not confirmed to be in this. I'm just speculating. Oh, but there is that right there that makes it look like a Seeker again. But that could just be Nightbird. Like, in all honesty, I could be overthinking things. It's just, this is clearly a scene that's a big battle, and so I'm just trying to imagine who all could see. RC looks like she's shooting at Nightbird. I got Wheeljack probably there again. There's Battletrap, Optimus, and Primal and Prime Battletrap. There's another one of those weird background Predacon looking things. We see Battletrap and Optimus Primal clash. And we see... So maybe they won't have Predacons in this then? Which is kind of unfortunate. I would like to see Megatron. Because we have the Primal logo, Terraton logo, and Autobot logo. There's RC. Look at her. She looks so good. She's all like, and again, this is what we're talking about. People didn't like the Bayverse. Like, here's RC from the Bayverse movies. Looks kind of crappy. Because look at her arm. She's a robot, and look how smooth that arm is. Look at that. Sounds weird. Look at the thigh. It's just a single piece of metal over a bunch of junk. Like, sure, some of it pokes out because that's like a hip piece. You can't, like, I mean, if it was solid, she wouldn't be able to bend it, like, outwards if she needed to. Which we know that she does, because when we see earlier in the trailer, she's holding on the Wheeljack and she has her legs kind of stuck out. But see, and then her chest piece is all one piece, and you got some pistons and stuff, which makes sense. Head's all nice and solid. You got her little things that poke up. Look at her hands. It's a good design. Like, it looks like a live action yet accurate version of RC. It looks like they got like the best elements of every version of RC, including G1, Prime, because Transformers Prime is a very popular series for the Transformers community, especially compared to recent times. And so it taking some of RC from that show's design, which comparison makes sense, to say the least. They did cut it off too early. I haven't seen Wheeljack yet, but this looks to be my least favorite design so far. I'm not saying it's bad. The legs are probably the worst part, in my opinion. I don't know what the hell's going on here. I like the chest pretty well. This probably looks the most Bayverse. However, his head looks like Mirage comparison. But I still don't like that they gave Mirage a Porsche as an alt mode. Because it doesn't make any sense. Like, you're really gonna, like, look at this. See this? Here's Jazz. Here's Mirage. They're alt modes from G1. Tell me who you think it looks like the most. Just saying. I don't care that it's, I don't, like, if they had a different alt mode and it was like, yeah, that's Mirage, I'd be like, cool. But yeah, if they had a different alt mode and said it was Mirage, that was clearly not one that is almost identical to a different character from G1, I wouldn't care. But specifically because they say it's Mirage, while showing me Jazz's alt mode, it's ridiculous, in my opinion. Anyway, so as I said, I was going to address what universe this consists in. It's very uncertain, especially since I noticed the fact that Optimus Prime doesn't have his face mask on the entire time. It is very confusing as to what they plan to do with this universe going forward. I feel like, due to the fact that Transformers 6 was canceled after Bumblebee had good reception but terrible box office numbers, because it didn't make as much money as any of the other Transformers movies, despite the fact that it is easily probably the best one. Initially, they talked about it as if it was going to be a prequel to the Bayverse films, and then they were kind of skirting around whether or not that was true. They even released a comic that directly referenced him being in World War II, which we saw in The Last Night, that he was a part of a branch in World War II. And then when it was released, that comic was retconned out of existence, basically, because we saw that Bumblebee didn't show up until after World War II. And he looks different, and Optimus shows up at a different time than he does in the Bayverse films. Megatron is never seen or mentioned. Soundwave is bigger and completely different sounding and everything. Shockwave looks completely different. We've got characters in Bumblebee that we see later on that look completely different, like Ironhide and RC and Ratchet. But that takes place in 70s or 80s. I don't really know. There's a 76 he turns into a 76 Camaro at the end of it, but Carly responds to it in a way that she has seen it before, like she knows of the car's existence. So it's pre-2000. We'll just refer to it that way, pre-bicentennial. But if you like look at this, I get that it's a cityscape, but this, you look at this and you're not going to think this is 70s. You're not going to think that this is before 2000. Like, let's be honest. You look at this and immediately you're like, that looks like nowadays. And especially, you see Optimus Prime in his old form, that just looks like a normal car. Like, the cars back then were very specific looking, as you see from watching Bumblebee. These look like just normal cars. And he's actually clean now, as opposed to being dirty. And again, we see, see, he's got fucking what looks like just standard earbuds. Jacket looks a little old school, though. We got a bunch of coupes back here, so we can't, coupes and sedans, so we can't fucking figure out what the hell those are supposed to be. But I say, it's like, cop cars are kind of hard to tell because they use about the same car for cops for about 20 years before they fucking change them. It's like, it's hard to tell because they don't have any like high profile cars on this, because like it could still be like the 90s or something, because I could be wrong. Like I said, maybe they make it in the 90s. They're trying to find a middle ground. They'll like jump 10 years every movie or something until they're up back to the modern day, and then they'll stop. But this looks like the modern day already, which is confusing because, like, what did they do for 30 years if that's the case? If it's not, then fuck me. I'm fine with being wrong. I don't really give a shit. And then, well, it's like the other thing too is, it's like, you have the Autobots in these old-ass style cars. Again, this looks kind of new. It's got a fucking blower. I mean, I didn't know there were blowers before, but still, like, you look at, I don't know. It's hard to tell. They'll obviously address it. I'm assuming they're going to be like, I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of flashback with the primals coming down to Earth initially or some shit like that, like they did in Age of Extinction, and then they'll jump to whatever the main story of this takes place and be like, oh, it's the 80s, like 1987 or whatever the fuck they're going to say. 1984. But the G1 series came out, in case you didn't know. I can't really... And again, I don't know where this looks like the bridge he might have just been on. I'm very curious as to what the situation is, as well as this little electricity, because it kind of doesn't look like he'd kill him. Maybe he stuns him or something like that. Like, maybe that's just a threatening thing. Again, not going to really talk about the humans at all, but we'll go ahead and look. We'll give them a mini shout out as to who they are. So this one right here, the dude, or I guess we could go to the end because they said better. He is supposed to be Noah, I'm assuming, played by Anthony Ramos. I hope I pronounce that right, being that he is from Latin descent, so I don't know. And then we have Elena, played by Dominique Fishback. And there's someone in here, it says there's going to be another character named Reek. Don't know, I don't think he pops up in this trailer at all. And we're also, and I forgot, there were some recent announcements as to who is going to be voicing other characters. So, a couple weeks ago, the Transformers Instagram account released footage of Mirage's voice actor doing his lines, who is Pete Davidson, for those of you who do not know. I think his most recent movie was Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. He was also in The Suicide Squad by James Gunn. And then they also, in that same post, released footage of Air Razor's voice actress, Michelle Yeoh, who has recently been in Everything Everywhere All at Once. She was also in Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings. For those of you who don't know, Optimus Primal is played by Ron Perlman. I think I said that earlier, but in case I didn't. Peter Cullen plays Optimus Prime again.
I'm not the one to fear, Prime.
It sounds like they augmented Ron Perlman's voice a little bit for it. It looks like that Bumblebee does not have a voice actor, so he's still going to be using the radio to talk in this one. Next actor to talk about is RC, who's going to be played by Liza Koshi. I don't know. I've never heard of her before. Unfortunately, she's got a few things. She's been in a few things. Looks like the most recent one is her own show on YouTube called Lisa on Demand, which is fine. I mean, I hope she does good. Like I said, I don't know anything about her. She looks nice, I guess, and she's been in multiple things. So I'm gonna trust that she knows what she's doing. So Wheeljack is going to be voiced by Cristo Ferdinands. Again, he's another person of a more culturally diverse background than I am, so I do not know how to pronounce his name because I just don't. I'm sorry. Like, I really wish that I could. It's easier when I've heard the name pronounced. I can say people's names from Black Panther just fine because I know how they're pronounced. I can't read names and not know how it's pronounced. You gotta say it to me first, you know what I mean? But he was in Ted Lasso as someone. I haven't seen Ted Lasso, but that's just on his IMDb, and I feel like that's a more recent and popular enough thing that if I say Ted Lasso and his name, you could probably just type in Ted Lasso and his name and figure out the character that he plays, because I would not know. Something else that needs to be addressed is the fact that on the Transformers wiki, it says that Stratosphere is going to be in this movie. I think that there might have been a rumor that got out that isn't true, but supposedly they're played by John DiMaggio. I think that's how his name is pronounced, because I'm pretty sure I've heard that name before. He's done Futurama. I'm just gonna say John DiMaggio has done Futurama, and he supposedly voices Stratosphere. Don't know how true any of that is, being that Stratosphere hasn't been seen. Maybe this little dot right there is actually Stratosphere. I don't know. But some of the more interesting news, the main villain, who I'm assuming Scourge will be the main villain because he seems to be the biggest villain character, is actually Peter Dinklage, apparently, which a name I actually know. Again, not to roast anyone that's on this cast that I don't know. It's just they're probably newer. They look fairly young. But Peter Dinklage is apparently going to be in this. I mean, he's been in a million things. It's around Christmas time, so I'm going to just say he's been in Elf. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. So it looks like Nightbird, who, since to my knowledge we don't see her in this trailer, I'll go ahead and put up a picture of her alt mode, because I don't think any robot mode shit has been revealed for her, is going to be played by Michaela J. Rodriguez. She's apparently known as MJ Rodriguez, so you can also refer to her as that. MJ Rodriguez, just like Liza, whatever. She has also been in a lot of stuff that I've never seen. Not to disparage her. Hope she does a good job. And since I don't know anything about her, I have confidence in her. I give everyone I don't know 100% confidence. They actually are acting, and I'm not. So David Sobolov is going to be playing Battletrap, and he was actually in the Beast Hunters of Transformers Prime, in which he played Shockwave. Again, never heard of him, but he's been in Transformers before, and they're bringing him back. So he's got my confidence almost exclusively for that reason. And then last, we'll have the Maximals, in which David Sobolov is playing Rhinox as well. So good for him doing double duty. We already talked about Ron Perlman and Michelle Yeoh. Cheetor has yet to have an announced actor. I am really excited for this movie. Probably my most hyped movie of next year. It was supposed to come out this year, for those of you who don't know. And yeah, I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be really good. It looks like it's going to be good. Can't wait till the official plot trailer comes out in a couple months, probably. It's just really good. Again, I don't know what universe this takes place in. There's a lot of, it seems like in this one compared to the Bumblebee movie, they implemented a lot more stuff from the Bayverse. It looks like there's more modern cars, but I don't know, because the cars that I see are stuff that if they were modern, they're like bland enough to be from back then, because they're just like sedans and coupes and shit. I don't know. Personally, how I'm going to believe the situation in terms of its orientation or understanding to the greater universe of the Transformers story, I personally think it is going to be a sequel to Bumblebee, but not be a part of the Bayverse. Could be wrong. I could be, but it would make more sense for it to just be a direct sequel to Bumblebee, and them to just be giving this to us to officially restart the universe, because they're giving us Wheeljack, who they had given to us before in the form of Q. His name was changed last minute for some reason, but if you play the Dark of the Moon video game, he is referred to as Wheeljack, even though in the Dark of the Moon movie, he is referred to as Q. They're giving us Mirage, who again, this is technically the first appearance, but in the Dark of the Moon video game, Dino, the red Ferrari, is also referred to as Mirage, so he's another situation of, hey, you're supposed to be this character from the classics, but they changed the name last second, so nobody knows that. RC is also in this, in which we only see once and never again. We don't see her die or anything, or maybe she is. RC triplets, we see one of them die. I don't know if that one's actually RC, because it's RC, Elita 1, and Chromia. One of them dies, and then the other two just disappear. But it's like they're bringing her in, even though she didn't show up till the second one. She was a part of the second wave of Autobots, but at this point, anyone that shows up, and assuming this happens before 2000, anyone that shows up at 2000 would be at least the third wave, and if the Primal's already here, they're basically the fourth wave of Autobots. I'm calling Bumblebee the first and Optimus the second. In my opinion, the Bayverse goes from Transformers 2007 to Transformers The Last Knight. And then the universe exploded. We're not talking about those. We're talking about Rise of the Beasts, okay? So stop talking about it. Even though I'm the one talking about it, stop. Assuming this is just the official restart of a universe, it would be interesting if Carly had some sort of cameo, whether it's like the end of the world and it's being televised and we see her reaction. I doubt she's going to. That was just a thought that randomly popped in my head. Something else I wanted to address, actually, because I almost forgot. Earlier, I made a comment about this size comparison. Roughly the same size. I think he's technically going to be bigger, because although, I mean, it looks like he is already taller as the gorilla, but he's also bulkier. So if he wanted to transform to have thinner proportions like Optimus does, he would grow in height. We also have to address this. Bumblebee, Cheetor looks to be about twice the size. I mean, if you take the legs off and put them on it, it looks like about the same size. Looks like the torso, like tail to head, is about the same size as Bumblebee's alt mode, but he also has legs. He's going to be at least the same size as Bumblebee, if not bigger. For those of you who don't know, Predacons and Maximals are small. The original Beast Wars and Beast Machines takes place in the same continuity as G1, and they actually find, like I said, there might be a flashback in this series or in this movie showing the origin of the Maximals. At some point, I believe in season 1, I think it had to do with the season 1 finale of Beast Machines or Beast Wars. They eventually find the Ark, which in G1 is what the Autobots crashed onto Earth with. They found the Ark and went inside and are like stand next to Optimus Prime, Megatron, and all the other Autobots from the original series, and they are noticeably smaller than them. They're probably not that small. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know that they are small. I'll reference photo, obviously. Yeah, so I'm not complaining. It makes sense. So the Maximals and the Predacons in the original Beast Wars / Beast Machines are about half the size, a third to half the size of the normal Transformers. Again, here's an image. Obviously, it makes sense that they're not that size. That would be ridiculous if they're like, oh my god, we found this new subspecies of Transformers. They're half the size of us. It's not as threatening, but yeah. And actually, the last thing I want to address is I enjoyed the fact the Decepticon roster is small, but that's a good thing because in the G1 show, the Decepticons were kind of... They weren't brutal because it's an old cartoon, so there wasn't that much violence. The Decepticons would usually, like, it would be a bunch of Autobots would get taken out by, like, just Starscream because a lot of the Autobots were fairly small and the Decepticons would just show up, hand the Autobots' asses to them. The only person that could really stand up to them would be, like, Ironhide, Ratchet, Optimus, and Grimlock because they were the bigger ones. And then, of course, Jetfire and stuff ended up showing up, too. So I enjoy the fact that we are only getting 3 Decepticons because I'm assuming that means that the Decepticons are going to be competent and therefore be able to handle a squad of 5 or 6 Autobots plus 4 or 5 Maximals. It's gonna be good. All right, I'm excited. Big hype. And I think that's all I have to say. Finally, so I hope you see this. I hope you learned something. I hope you maybe saw something you didn't see in the trailer initially. I'm excited. I might do another breakdown for the next trailer. We'll see. We'll see how much. We'll see how taxing making this one was. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed how I broke this down or anything like that, and you would be interested to see me do more stuff along those lines, subscribe. Like, I know that everyone says that, but for someone like me who's really small, the more subscribers I get, the more reason I feel like I have. It's a mess. I've tried on and off to get things going, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm actually doing this is because it's new, it's relevant, and it's something that I actually give a shit about, that I want to talk about. If you like this and you want to see me talk about other things, you want to see me do any reviews like this or whatever, subscribe, comment, leave a like, whatever. Let me, even if I get 1 subscriber, that would be enough for me to do this again. Because I love the world of entertainment and I enjoy talking about it with people, especially, and I want to talk about more because I feel like it's really getting diluted by overly dramatic sides of things. And so if you want to know my opinion on other things like Star Wars or Marvel or DC or just random offshoot crap that I may want to watch, or anime, I guess, but maybe that'll make me a better person for reviewing stuff because I'm so disconnected. Either way, if you want to see me sit here and talk about shit and break down shit more, subscribe, and I will do it because this is what I want to do. I am actually passionate about it. I just have a job that I have to work so that I can pay my bills. And so it doesn't give me a lot of time to do this. Hope you guys enjoyed, and please show support in any way. Call me a piece of shit if you want to. And I'll see you guys next time, hopefully.